E. It starts like this. 1 minute, you're in the arms of someone you trust completely, and the next you feel the ground beneath you disappear. The world that you've carefully built together shatters, and all you can do is stand there, helpless, as the love of your life walks away from you. That moment, the one where you realize you're no longer important to the person who once said you were everything, it's the kind of heartbreak that changes you. Forever. He promised me forever. He promised to be there when no one else was. He promised that no matter what, he would love me. And I believed it. I gave him everything, my heart, my soul, my trust. I thought that no matter how hard life got, we would always have each other. But I was wrong. And the day I found out, it felt like I was being ripped in half. But I can't stand here and just tell you about the pain. No, I need to tell you about how I got through it. How I survived the worst kind of heartbreak, the kind that comes from someone you thought you would spend forever with. I should have seen it coming. I should have noticed the signs, the late nights, the strange texts, the moments when he didn't seem present anymore. But I was blinded by love, blinded by the belief that we were invincible, that nothing could tear us apart. And when I found out, the betrayal, the crushing realization that everything we'd built was a lie, it shattered me. But here's the thing. Heartbreak doesn't just break you down, it builds you. It molds you into someone new. The pain? It never really goes away. But over time, you learn to live with it. You learn that you can survive, that you can thrive. It was a regular evening, or at least I thought it was. I had no idea that within hours my entire world would be flipped upside down. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I saw it. A message. His message. It wasn't from me. And it wasn't from anyone I recognized. In that moment, I felt a knot form in my stomach. It wasn't just the message itself, though. It was everything that came after. The denial in his eyes when I confronted him. The lies that came out of his mouth, so easily, as if he didn't even care. And then, just like that, everything fell apart. It wasn't just his infidelity that broke me. It was the lies, the betrayal, the feeling that I wasn't good enough. And I let myself believe it for a while. But I couldn't let myself stay there. In the weeks that followed, I did what any woman in my position would do. I cried. I stayed up late, replaying every word he said, every action he took, and I kept asking myself, how could I have been so blind? How could I not have seen the truth? I blamed myself. I blamed the way I'd become complacent, the way I'd allowed myself to become so wrapped up in him, in us, that I missed the signs. I kept hearing the words, maybe it's your fault. Maybe if you had done more, been more. But then, I realized something. I was suffocating under the weight of his betrayal, and I needed to breathe again. So I let myself feel the pain. I let myself scream, cry, curse, and feel all of it. Every raw emotion, every wound, every ounce of grief. But eventually, I started to heal. It's funny how you can love someone so much, and yet, the minute they leave, you realize just how strong you actually are. I thought I would never get through it. I thought I would never smile again. But then, day by day, I picked myself up, and let me tell you, that was when I realized just how powerful I was, how strong I was. I was no longer defined by his betrayal. I was defined by my ability to rise from the ashes. The journey wasn't easy. It wasn't perfect. There were days I didn't want to get out of bed. There were nights I wanted to text him, beg him to come back, tell him I missed him. But I didn't. I stood tall. Even when it hurt like hell. I learned that I could be whole without him. That I could be my own person again. And it was liberating. As time went on, I started rediscovering who I was. I started doing the things I loved, things I had stopped doing because I had been so focused on him, on us. I reconnected with old friends. I traveled to places I had always wanted to see, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. But the healing wasn't linear. It wasn't as simple as just moving on. There were moments of weakness. Moments when I thought about what we could have been, what I had lost. There were days when I felt completely alone. But those moments became fewer and farther between as I became more sure of who I was. And let me tell you, I was no longer the woman who would let someone walk all over her. I became the woman who knew her worth, the woman who would never let anyone take her for granted again. And that power, that confidence, it was intoxicating. But there was one last thing I had to do. One last thing that would finally set me free. I had to confront him. I had to face him, face to face, and tell him exactly what his betrayal had done to me. I had to let him know that I wasn't just the woman he had cheated on. I was a woman who deserved better. I deserved respect. I deserved loyalty. And most importantly, I deserved love. When I saw him again, all the anger, the heartbreak, the tears, they were still there, but they weren't controlling me anymore. I spoke my truth. And when I walked away, I didn't look back, not once. Here's the kicker. I thought that seeing him again would bring me closure. That maybe, just maybe, I would get the answers I was looking for. But what I learned that day was that closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you give yourself. And when I walked away from that conversation, I finally realized that I was free. Free from the guilt, free from the shame, free from the belief that I wasn't worthy of love. And that was the moment everything shifted. I no longer needed validation from him or anyone else. I had everything I needed within me. I had me. So here I am, stronger than I've ever been. I'm no longer afraid of love. I'm no longer afraid of getting hurt. I'm no longer afraid of losing myself in someone else. I've found myself again. And I know that whatever comes next in my life, whether it's love or something else, I'll be okay. Because I am enough. I've always been enough. And that heartbreak, the one that nearly destroyed me, is the same heartbreak that led me to my greatest strength. Because when someone leaves you, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you have an opportunity to rebuild, to rise, and to discover just how strong you really are. That heartbreak, it changed my life. And now, I'm finally living it.